Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 2 of the Visuals by Leo Studio podcast. I have two very interesting guests with me today. And then I think you guys are going to be jumping into host positions. So this is going to be a very, very fun conversation.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I feel uncomfortable being a host. I mean, like, I'm always watching other people host podcasts, but I want it to be conversational. So I feel like we're all hosting. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm usually behind the mic, behind the camera.
That's all three of us.
All three of us.
That's why I'm saying,
So
like,
this is either going to be terrible or awesome.
it's gonna be dope, bro. I'm telling you, I have three talented people. We all have me and Sergio are wedding filmmakers. I want you to introduce yourself, brother. What do you do?
Yeah. Which one? One just for the record. So I'm not used to being on this end.
So
which one do you want me to look at?
That one is me and you right there.
That was okay. Cool.
Yeah.
My name is Jason Hardy. I am a personal trainer, group fitness instructor, and then I moonlight as a DJ and in some ways, a videographer. I wouldn't necessarily qualify myself as that. I'm not like you guys, but I dabble.
I think you do some crazy stuff, brother. You were just showing us a phenomenal setup. So I met Jason not too long ago. The man, he does so many different things and he excels in so many different fields. I met him when he was doing DJing at Lifetime Fitness, and his setup was phenomenal. I'm the type of guy where if I'm at an event and I see an XLR cable somewhere, I'm going to follow that cable.
and you did. And you did.
And it led me to this gentleman here. So a man that wears many hats, super dope guy. And me and Sergio, we were just talking about how you could either have a lot of brains and technical experience and abilities, or you have a lot of muscles. And every once in a while, God's like, you know what? You can have both, brother.
I'm going to show you the picture of me about 15 years ago, and you would not have made the same statement. So it's possible. It's possible. Just
possible.
Spend a year.
Yeah.
Spend a year in the gym. You will say qualify for both.
That gives me hope.
But if you're not smart, you spend a couple years at school. It's still
Hey, you just got to maximize what God gave you.
Right.
100%. Yeah, health for sure. You were talking about how the pandemic really shaped a lot of your business, your skill set. You're dealing with people, the things you were doing. You took on live productions seemingly overnight. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I was teaching 30 classes a week for Equinox, which was way too much. And I was DJing weddings and events. Quarantine happened, and there you go. And I knew it was going to last at least a year. I knew I was going to be out of a job, and I knew my schedule at Equinox was never going to be the same, and nor did I want it to be. I was too exhausted. I knew it wasn't sustainable. I was 35 and teaching 30 classes, which, if you have no idea about classes, it's probably about 10 more a week than most full-time people that teach a lot. And so I was like, all right, it's never going to go back to the way it was, and I don't have any income coming up, and so I need to figure out how to do this. But I wanted to help people because that's why I'm in fitness. And I saw people going on to Zoom. I saw people going on to Instagram Live, YouTube. And I don't like being in front of the camera. I like being behind the camera. So I didn't want to do YouTube and do I can't be myself without people. Like I couldn't be here and talk as genuinely and have a conversation. It's not me. And I didn't want to be on Instagram Live because then I'm just me in front of a camera without people again. And so I was like, I want to do it on Zoom, but I thought the experience on Zoom was god awful. And so I was like, how can I make this feel like a class, like what I did, and create community and not, on Zoom. You remember being on Zoom. Hopefully we probably all have PTSD from it, but
yes, I hate Zoom calls, to be honest with you.
Yeah. But when you're on Zoom from a fitness perspective, it's either the instructor's a little box and you can see everybody like you could in a class, you're with a group of people, or you see the instructor big and you see maybe a couple people on top. And it doesn't feel like a class. And then, you can't see, the instructor has to communicate everything. There's no visuals. There's nothing to write on. And so I just figured out I needed to, if I wanted to do what I wanted to do, I had to learn live video production. And so over the course of April, late March to early April, I just started watching a bunch of YouTube videos on OBS. I had recently bought a PC, a desktop PC, and then from there, I was like, okay, what can I do with it? And so I just kind of pieced it together into buying a Stream Deck, started with webcams in my living room, then had multiple webcams in my living room, then partnered with a friend who owned a group training business but had an attic upstairs, wasn't being used, and then was like, all right, you guys suck at online video. I don't want to do this from my apartment. Let's partner, and then got even more down into buying DSLRs, and then upgrading the setup. We had like probably 9 monitors or TVs, 9 monitors,
Crazy.
TVs in the room. Actually, probably closer to 12.
Dang.
2 cameras. Sorry, yeah, 6 cameras, 2 mics. Yeah,
Wow.
in a room, and that's how I got into video production.
And then a lot of people describe the pandemic as like a dip. It doesn't sound like it was a dip for you.
Oh, it was emotionally draining.
Because there's so much uncertainty. You don't know what you're doing. You're in a different field.
Yeah.
You don't know what competition looks like. You don't know if you're doing all this stuff to please the current clients that you have and whether or not you're going to find other people. Like there's so much uncertainty involved in learning so much stuff in a short period of time. Like when I first got into filmmaking, the first time I spent like $1,000 on a piece of gear, I had a client that I was serving and I was like, am I doing this for this one client? Am I investing in this business based on one sample of reality? And that always terrified me that I might be spending all this money to just make money from this one person, and as soon as this person has matured into the next phase of their life, I just invested all my money in this stuff, and that was always scary for me.
What year was that?
What was that?
What year was that?
I think like 6-7 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, it's gone a long way from there. But even to this day, sometimes I do have like little side gigs that are very niche and specific. Like I do some cooking stuff that's very specific, and even the types of like I got a whole little slider for them because there's nothing like a cool slider shot for like a close up macro lens, and you end up buying tens of thousands of dollars worth of gear, and you don't know am I buying this just for this job,
Right.
this gig?
Yeah.
Right.
Does that happen to you?
Well, yeah, it does. But then my mentality goes, well, if I do so well in this gig, I can then probably promote it to these other people that are in the same field and hopefully get more gigs that are like that one. And then that's how I kind of got into droning, because a lot of real estate was getting into all that. People were like goo gaga over it. So I'm like, all right, let's learn how to fly this bird. And then it went from that to now it's like exterior shots for my weddings now and all that stuff. So it's kind of like that, where it's like, if I do so well with this, maybe I can promote it and we can get a little bit more of the same thing.
So you're using an emotion other than fear. I'm using fear as like my immediate emotion, but that's a better way to look at it. And since you're in the very deep into the training space, and I'm right now at a phase of my life where I just pulled off this project. It took a lot of. It's emotionally draining. Like I don't even talk about the money because like money comes and goes, and at the end of the day, money's designed to be spent. So I'm not worried about how much money I spent, but emotionally, the thought processes that go into choosing the location, defining what the business is going to be is very specific. It's because anytime you niche into like this could have been a photo studio, a small photo studio. It could have been a more versatile film space where I can do like little indie stuff and build different sets. But I was like, no, this is going to be a podcast studio. And making that decision was scary because I don't only serve podcasts. I serve different types of clientele. And I was worried that I invested my first opportunity in having a space on something that's not too specific. But I'm saying all this to say that emotionally, I've been very invested in this project. And that has taken a lot of my emotional capacity to worry about other things in life, namely fitness. I do want to start off with just how do you balance with fitness when you're panicking in a low financial state? That's usually when I drop the ball. Is like things I just invested a lot of money, things are getting challenging financially. Now my fight or flight is like in max mode, and I'm worried about making money. That's when I'm like, all right, I'm not going to the gym this whole week. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's I get it. I get it from the perspective of that. Like when you're short term, you have a week or two, you're building this place out, which is so cool. You're welcome. You have a lot in a certain week, but you can't. The way I see the way we were created is you can't be your best self. You can't be the best business person, best son, daughter, husband, father, whatever, friend, if you are not in good health. And you don't have to be jacked or ripped or anything to be in good health, but you got to be active and be doing something cardio, something resistance training, eating healthy in order to be your best self mentally. Like it's not possible.
So I appreciate you saying that, because I was like, I want to say something, but I don't look the best in shape. But trust me, if I show you a photo of like previous, you can tell the drastic difference. But yeah, you're right.
You look very balanced, brother. You look like you're doing work on yourself for sure.
I am really working hard on it, but that's something that so I got sick for 2 years. There was something that we couldn't figure out what was going on. During that time period, what taught me a lot is, man, my business runs off of me. Like if I'm not good, my business is not good, and the bills do not care how good you feel or not. So yeah, that's something that I learned is like, if what's the point of working so hard if my health is deteriorating and now I can't perform at my highest level? And now, you know, again, I appreciate you saying that, like, it doesn't matter if you don't look like so in shape, that doesn't mean you're not active. And I'm cycling now, I'm going to the gym, and I'm not pushing myself to be the Hulk. I'm just trying to be active, just to be healthy and feel good, that when I go into the field, I feel fine, you know?
Yes, that sweet spot of balance
Yeah.
is what I struggle with. Kind of similar to your energy when you learn something new. That's my life. Like
You dedicate everything to it.
everything. All my resources go to that thing. And I get so extreme that I completely forget to balance out very, very pivotal aspects of life. So that's always been like a lifelong challenge. I'm better at it now than I was back in the day. I used to be super extreme. Like if I'm doing this thing right now, I'm doing nothing else, and everything else can just die until this project is completed. The project does get completed. I pass with flying colors, but there's nothing left of every other aspect of my life, whether it be health-wise or relationships or family. So like I'll miss family events months on end. So yeah, definitely the balance side of things. And that's going to bring me to my next question, brother. You're going to balance all this training with food.
Yeah.
How do you balance food, as the majority of people that I know, like single entrepreneurs, in a very demanding industry?
I mean, let me answer your first question. First question first. You said on a low budget, you're busy, right?
Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
No, you're good. You apparently we're all ADHD, which is not going to make for great,
a great podcast.
Great for staying on topic. We'll have a very niche audience of people who like doing that, who are also ADHD.
Oh yeah.
First thing, it's not expensive to stay in shape. Like I just moved, my rent went up. I'm eating at home more often. And now I think maybe 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, whatever, it was cheap. I can go slam. I like fast food. I don't like that I like fast food, but I love all the crap. I could eat that every day if I, whatever, but it's not good for me and it's too expensive. You go to McDonald's now, it's spending $20. You go to the grocery store, you can make your food for $5, $6, $8, max.
And what's the go-to protein?
Well,
staple?
For me, it's different from anybody else, but I mean, it's staying in shape. It's just, we can get into this later, but I mean, any lean meats, and just monitoring your total caloric intake, get enough protein and keep your carbs and fats at a certain level and
actually calculate it, like do the math type of thing, like just.
Well, I mean, for clients, I recommend, depending on your mental state around dieting. Some people really struggle with counting calories. They obsess over it. It becomes an unhealthy obsession with health. So you have to balance that out with people. Most people, if they don't have any eating disorders or have any issues with counting calories, at least so they have an understanding, do it for a week to a month. I can now eyeball anything and guess with a ridiculous amount of accuracy what's in a meal or what's in my day. But that's because I tracked for a couple of years when I first got started. Just get focus on protein, eat healthy foods, and you'll probably be fine, honestly. Like it's not that complicated, but I do recommend everybody, at least for a while, understand what they're intaking, because most people are awful at guessing. Awful. They don't count the oils, they don't count the little things, the liquid calories. I've never met a client who was actually good at counting beforehand. Never gonna happen. And then for me, it's easy. I mean, a gym membership, you can get a cheap membership to Planet Fitness. I don't go to Planet Fitness, but if I was on a budget and I had to choose between Planet Fitness and no gym, I'm at Planet Fitness. Done. That, and then eating home is the cheapest thing you can do nowadays. And also, like, you got to remember, restaurants also, their goal is not to make us healthy. Their goal is to sell the most food and get the most people, and they're competing with everybody else. And what tastes good? Low fat foods, low carb foods? No. So I mean, you're way better off eating at home all your meals, if you can, as many meals as you can. Then,
if we had your favorite kind of meeting, a Zoom meeting right now, right? And I was talking to you, and I was looking for a trainer. Man, I love everything that you're saying. Like, the first thing that you said was, I love fast food. I don't like that I love fast food, but I love fast food.
Yeah.
That's like coming from a person that like looks like you, right? That's like, oh, that's what I want to look like. is like, oh my gosh, finally somebody that understands me, because I also love fast food and I don't like that I do, you know,
Yes.
but how can I control it? How can I? And that was great, man. Like good insight on like telling us that.
And that desire, because you have that desire, you're like, I'm never going to be fit. Like I sometimes feel like I'm never going to be like my best self because I have these desires. I wonder if these gym guys have these desires, but it's cool to see somebody who's like actually on top of it, who can admit like, yeah, I like to have a burger. I like to have a taco or a burrito. I wasn't always lacking in fitness and health. There were phases of my life where my main priority was fitness. There's actually a phase of my life, which was the pandemic as well, which I love going through people's pandemic stories because as a community, everyone says it was a catastrophe. But when you look into people's personal lives, everyone has this crazy golden achievement that they've made, or a realization, or a midlife crisis that like unfolded and just got cemented and corrected and healed like super quickly because we had all this alone and downtime. As soon as I saw things closing down and I felt like, all right, this is going to be a time where you're going to have to hold on to whatever is valuable to you and you're going to have a lot of time to work on it. I was like, I want to get fit. And it was very close to New Year's when I started, and the pandemic hit, I think a little bit after that. And I promised to work out every day and not eat anything out for the entire year. So I cooked my food for the entire year that year. And I'll show you guys the pictures. I lost all my weight. But finances were so tight that year. My social life was in shambles. I wouldn't see anybody.
Yeah.
I would leave a family gathering at like 6:30 p.m. because I want to be in bed way before like 10 o'clock just to make sure I'm up so early so that I don't miss the opportunity to work out. I was doing calisthenics because the gyms were closed. But yes, I felt incredible health-wise. But then I fell into like, okay, I'm super fit, but business isn't so good. Network isn't so good. Social life isn't so good. And I feel like that's a me thing because I'm so extreme with different aspects of my life. But all this is to say that I discovered something that really made life amazing, especially when I was at work. And that's a little toaster oven. These ovens that they're not a microwave.
Right.
They're just like little electric heating ovens. I don't know if you ever use them.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard of these things.
It's an electric oven. It's a miniature oven. It's electric. Are you joking?
Yes.
That was a perfect poker face.
Thank you.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Thank you. I'm a little too dry sometimes. I apologize.
No, bro.
I was not trying to be a jerk.
Like, what's a toaster oven? I'm from
I
Mars.
love that you were explaining it and we looked at each other.
And I was like,
he's going.
my bad. I gotta say something. My bad, bro.
That's funny. Yeah, but me discovering a toaster oven was like, I actually cooked at work a few times. Like you can cook a little sandwich if the meat isn't that thick, and it was revolutionary that I can cook at work now with this little toaster oven. What hacks do you have? Things like that are just like.
I mean, it just depends. I mean, I think when people ask me this, it's like, look, I have it easy. I live in the gym, which also comes with other things. Like the gym is no longer the escape. The gym is work.
It's work.
So that's one piece to it. It's the opposite side. But you know, I just moved to an apartment and then I switched training gyms to the best gym I've ever been at to train clients at. It happens to be literally across the street from my apartment, and I skateboard there and walk. So I can go home at any point. I don't have to prep my meals. I can just go home and cook before, during, after. So that makes my life so much easier. I don't live in any range of fast food in any of my drives, which makes it a lot easier. So I don't have to think about it. And then I have to judge myself if I go out and leave my house and the food I have and go out and spend
go eat
and money to go leave. And I'm like, no, don't do it, Jason.
Yes.
The original question you asked me was
Hacks, like little.
Oh, okay. It's getting people to change completely what they eat and their diets is a big task, and it's unnecessary. For the most part, I just try to get people to reportion rather than change a whole bunch of stuff. Like I DJ, just fiddle with the knobs, the mids, the highs, the lows, rather than changing the song. Like most people follow recipes that were created ages ago or by somebody who doesn't care about you being lean and healthy, right? So just reportioning, instead of eating a pasta dish with 2 ounces of chicken, a bunch of pasta and an unhealthy sauce, I make my pasta dishes with, I think my roommate, he's Italian. He scolds me sometimes, but it's more of a ragu, which is like, I use a ton of meat. I'll put like 8 to 12 ounces of meat, protein, pasta, just with less pasta. And then all of a sudden the meal is 40 to 50% protein. instead of 15 to 20% protein.
So-
Reportioning. So more protein, less carbs and fats. Eat your veggies before you eat your carbs. Eat your meats before you eat your meats and veggies together, or meats first, then veggies, then carbs or fats. But just reshuffling your meals and prioritizing protein is the easiest thing to do.
This sounds incredible because he's not telling me to drastically change and drop everything. He's just telling me this is how we can readjust. Let's see how you're still going to eat the pasta that you like, but try to eat it a little less and a little bit meat. And it's like, okay, like I'm not discouraged. You're not telling me a salad. You know what I mean? And so
hey, salads can be good, bro.
No, I know.
hating on
No.
salads?
I'm just saying,
Big
going
salad's
from
gonna come for you, man.
no salad, just pasta to just
Yeah.
salad, it would be hard to just do that, and the expectations would be tough.
Well, yeah, and I
Yes.
appreciate you saying that because this is not a podcast advertisement for me as a trainer. And maybe we're all on camera too, so everything you say is forever. But like, I appreciate you saying that because I feel like you genuinely think that. So that's cool that I can impart that on you. And
No, for sure, because
you feel sustainable.
I'm looking at it as okay, if I were to have come to him and let's see what he would be as a trainer, like what advice that he's giving me, immediately I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a great fit, and then I assume eventually the person starts to feel good, and then they start slowly changing their way of eating, and then they start making those bomb salads that you're talking about. You know what I mean? And yeah,
I mean, salads are my go-to lunch. This is we talk about easy hack. I don't like to cook. I want to like to cook. I don't like to cook. But for my go-to salads in the middle of the day, I buy pre-made salad. I use a lower calorie dressing, try to use less of it. The pre-made salads that have everything's in it, the little toppings, sometimes croutons, whatever, sometimes veggies in it. And then I buy frozen diced chicken that comes in a pack, and I use an air fryer and heat it up.
You know what air fryer is?
I've never tried it.
I was gonna make that joke too, you son of a gun.
Sorry.
He's quick, bro.
No, I know.
He's quick.
And it takes, I literally just dump it in, put like 8-10 ounces of chicken in. It start 6 minutes. Go put the salad in a big bowl. Do it. Boom, done. 6 minutes later,
Sounds
I have a
awesome.
salad that has probably 60 to 70% protein. Like,
Sounds good.
That's crazy.
yeah,
yeah,
sounds
it's
good.
it's doesn't-
Fiber and protein and everything nice. That sounds amazing.
It's just reportioning. Instead of making it, I had one of my clients who's like, yeah, I eat, if you ever see this, I'm sorry. He's like, yeah, you have salads from it's not
Trader Joe's.
Greenleaf. No, it's like a good place. Like one of those like high-end fast
Sprouts?
casual places.
Sprouts?
No.
Oh, okay.
Kava.
No.
Oh.
The place that has like it's like urban plates, but it really doesn't matter.
Mendoza Farms.
Mendocino Farms.
Mendocino
but no.
Farms. Air
Anyway,
one?
but same concept.
Air
This is
one? No?
this conjecture. What? No.
No?
This is all gonna get cut anyways.
Not really. Not really.
We're just throwing company.
Yeah.
Now you have to
Son of
figure
a
it
gun.
out.
It doesn't matter. Anyways, he was like, "Yeah, I eat a salad every day for lunch. I don't know why I'm losing weight." And I was like, "Bro, let's pull up the nutrition facts." And it was like 25 grams of protein out of. Oh, here's a tip for you that'll help you. 25 grams of protein, but like 800 calories. Generally, you want to be, for anyone that goes to the gym or wants to lose weight and just general health, try to get 35 to 40% of your calories from protein, or roughly about 1 gram per pound of body weight or desired weight, depending on where you're at. He was at 25 grams of protein for 800 calories. And it's not like that you're eating 800 calories. It doesn't matter. It's where the calories coming from. 800 calories of Oreos versus 800 calories of chicken and veggies is very different, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
So the general rule, and I don't want to get into macros and all that stuff, but are you familiar with what macronutrients are?
Carbs, proteins, fats,
There's one other one that most people don't know of or don't think about.
carbs.
You hit the main three.
Okay.
I'll just give it to you. You're probably not
Fiber.
gonna- you weren't going to get it. Alcohol.
Oh, really?
Whoa.
Yeah, there's no nutritional purpose of alcohol. It's just that it's calories. That's
Wow.
why if you look at there's four calories per gram of protein, 4 calories per gram of carbohydrates, and 9 calories per gram of for a fat. If you try to add up the macros on a beer, it won't add up
Whoa.
because of the alcohol.
It's more than 9 per.
No, because alcohol isn't listed in calories
As a nutrient.
on nutrients. Yeah, because it's not a nutrient.
Wow,
So that's the caveat. But 3 of them. If you want to be at 40% of a meal from protein, you just take the protein. Let's say it's 25 grams of protein, times it by 4, and that would take you to, that'll be whatever percentage. So you'll get you to 25 to 100 calories from that. And if your food isn't 400 calories and 100 calories from protein, that's not a great ratio, or at least for that individual meal.
Yes.
So if he's at 25 grams of protein, 100 calories from protein out of 800 or 900 calories, he's at about 20% of his meal from protein, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So just look, if you're looking at something, the nutrition facts, and it's a single all-encompassing meal, not 3 or 4 things, and you just say, okay, it's 40 grams of protein, 250 calories overall, 40 grams of protein, 160 calories. That's over half protein.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So
dope.
Yeah. I think I just said that all backwards. If the protein in grams isn't 10% of the total calories, that's the easy way to do it. I just took you on a really long side journey.
I get the math now. Like I'm starting to understand that. I have another question. Go for it.
I was gonna say this is gonna be a recurring joke, but if you guys have seen The Office, I'm always thinking about Michael Scott saying, "Now explain that to me like I'm a 5-year-old." That was a lot, but yeah, it made sense. Yeah, thank you.
Was that a phrase before The Office?
Most likely, yeah. That's just where I got it from.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. That phrase definitely before The Office.
I was I don't think I ever really thought about the etymology of that phrase, but
oh, okay.
Anyway.
What's the word you just said?
Etymology.
What does that mean?
Just like the history of a word.
I love that. That's a big word. What did you study? Did you go to school for something?
Business.
Yeah, that's a big word, brother. I just learned that.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Okay. We have a spelling bee winner.
I'm leaving.
So this is my next question, brother. Us being filmmakers, we got bit by the film bug.
Okay.
You were able to dive into that world and still not let it consume you, not like turn into like, I'm just going to start doing videos all the time. And how did you make that separation? Like, tell me more about that, because the fact that you got to the level where you're doing multicam productions, live setups in the pandemic, like that's how people turn into wedding videographers in 6 months. Like you start off with weddings.
Yeah. I think for me, I got heavy into live streaming, which is a lot less technical. It's different technical. Videography, I wouldn't consider myself a videographer because the amount of knowledge that you guys have about everything, I don't have. I had a very, I learned a very, I think we're talking about this in the elevator. I learned I went very deep in a very specific hole, and I learned everything I could about that, but I was all self-taught. I didn't have anybody teaching me, because nobody, like, this is one of the things I'm most proud of during the quarantine, or probably in my life, is creating that platform I created. We were in the top 5 worldwide for ClassPass live stream bookings, which is crazy because we're just some small outfit in Irvine compared to all these like big businesses that were on ClassPass Live. And I just wanted to make something that would help people, and that was my motivation to do that. And the world of videography is very different than the world of live streaming. I didn't have to learn a ton about, take classes on it, or do a ton of learning about like shooting outdoors, learning aperture, all the settings that you have to learn to like perfectly nail it. I would never accept a wedding gig, but indoors, multicam, I've done shoots, and I would do more of them, but I don't have a studio space right now, for a company called PPSC, Pain-Free Performance Special Certifications. I shot 3 or 4 of their 16-hour weekend certs they used to do in person at an office I had in a gym in Costa Mesa. I had it 6 months ago for about 3 years. And so I had that. So I kind of did that a little bit, but it's just not my full-time passion. Helping people and training is, and I always knew it was going to be like a side gig that it's fun. It makes some money. It does help people, but it helps people in a different way. And I would like to do it more, which is like fun that we're connecting finally on this stuff.
Yeah. Because you always, every once in a while, we'll have an exchange on Instagram, and you have like very deep technical knowledge about a certain thing.
Oh,
And that always fascinated me. I'm like, dude, this guy's like, he's not doing filmmaking full time, but like he's asking questions about very specific things. Like the fact that Justin Porter, like
I followed him for a while.
yeah, like Justin's like a very niche character in the wedding space. Like
Yeah.
you wouldn't, not many people outside of the world of filmmaking or weddings would be aware of his page. But it's cool that you're that aware of things that are going on around you.
I just consider myself an expert amongst laymen, but I'm a layman amongst experts.
A jack of all trades, master of none type of thing.
But
Master of one,
no, but
master of many.
no, but the full phrase. I'm gonna mess it up. A jack of all trades, but a master of none is something better than.
Okay.
I think
What is it?
But sometimes the jack of all trades is more dangerous than the master of one.
This is something because that phrase
that.
gets like thrown around in a bad way.
Let's get to the bottom of this.
my money on
Master
it.
of.
This is a Jamie pull that out for me moment.
Yeah.
I have to figure out, by the way,
Hey, what's the phrase? I'm just completely spacing.
a jack of all trades.
Of all trades.
I
master
need
of
to
none.
figure out a way
Cool.
to conveniently have a guest pull something up. Like
Mm.
maybe that's where the monitor will come in, like a TV screen, and
Yeah,
we're going over.
that'd be great.
That's where you need a
video.
producer.
Yes.
Okay, jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I believe that. I do believe in specializing in things because I feel like if you want to make a living in
Yeah.
any industry, you can't just be okay at it. Like you have to be so good that you can compete
Right.
to make the big money inside of it.
Well, yeah.
That's how I feel about weddings, but at the same time, like here I am opening a podcast studio, and I just feel like,
It's adjacent.
you think so?
It's adjacent. Videography and then this. Yeah. You're using the same equipment you use there. You had
But
to buy
but
you had a
financially,
Rodecaster.
it's a complete diversion. Like in terms of equipment, like if I invested this money to upgrade my wedding, specifically my wedding gear, like to turn things to go crazy with the mics, have laughs for everybody, like Justin does, like
Yeah.
a reality TV style approach, that would be another step in that space. But I feel like for me, you know how you're talking about how you're passionate about fitness and then it turned into your job. So you go into this gray zone of like,
Yeah.
is it still a passion? Is it not? I feel like I got into this whole job, this whole industry because I was passionate.
Mhm.
So I promised myself I would never let that die. Because if it does, I don't know if I'll continue to do it.
Right.
So me doing weddings is like weddings. Sometimes I start to feel like this is a job. There are parts of wedding days where I feel like this is purely a job. Like I have to do this for 2 hours, this for an hour. And that's why I need a contrasting point, which is podcast conversations, lighting, getting into the nitty gritty of framing and composition. Just to make sure that I have a hot, cold kind of yin yang relationship between the two different things I do in filmmaking to keep my passion alive.
Yeah, I mean, you could say the same thing about being a personal trainer and teaching fitness classes. Like it's same genre, but very different things, very different energy, different prep. But I mean, your knowledge that you've gained in your main gig all applies to this.
Without a doubt.
You might have to do a little bit of, I don't know if you did audio like with a Rodecaster before, but like you had to do a little research, but most of this stuff was in your head already.
Without a doubt, especially because I've been doing that reality TV style approach with weddings. So it's very interview heavy. It's very questions. You got to sit down with like a mother-in-law or a groom's dad and try to, instigate a positive question and bring out things that they might necessarily they wouldn't have talked about. So yeah, I think that's where that comes from. Like a passion for storytelling, learning how to talk to people and bring out a brighter side of a conversation. Definitely that's where they overlap. What's on the horizon for you, brother?
Oh, geez, I don't.
Can I ask him?
Yeah, you shoot.
Yeah. Back to like, when you got into getting into the live stuff and all that, did it take you anywhere where you wouldn't have imagined like,
Oh.
whoa.
Yeah. You kidding me? I didn't think I would do anything with video at all. Yeah. I mean, I didn't think I started with a webcam on top of my monstrosity of an 85-inch TV I bought for my apartment.
Whoa.
And I had
In 2020, that's big.
It's like a laptop stand, like a C-stand, but laptop stand with a keyboard and a Stream Deck on it. I was like, what am I doing? And then I don't know if you're teaming me up for the USC thing that I did, but I partnered with USC. I ended up running live stream classes specifically for the students there. One of our clients for the online business I was running during quarantine, her dad was the rec director, I think, of USC. And so he saw what she was doing and was like, hey, can I do that for the kids? So then I started doing live classes for them. And then I found a way to like take our product and skin it for USC. So it looked like it was their product. And then he asked me to do the pregame tailgate parties. So we end up having the mascot, the USC Song Girls come out, a DJ, we put a green screen on him, and had a whole full on live TV broadcast.
That's
kind of
bananas.
set up. And yeah, I did not think I'd be doing that. Green screen DJing on Twitch and on Zoom for quarantine was super fun. Like we did like 2 New Year's events at night and dressed up, put on a fancy green screen background. And then like, because no one was going out. We wanted to help people and have a good time. It was super fun. I never imagined I'd be anything into video at all.
So you mentioned that like fear was one of the biggest factors of like doing something quickly, doing something to help people, right? Because you didn't know what was going to happen. While you were doing all that and you got to do all this, like the stuff with USC, when did fear kind of like start slowing down and you were like, whoa, this is something awesome?
I don't think fear was
I'm sorry. Yeah,
motivating factor. Just not to get too deep into this, my parents started paying attention to the pandemic stuff in November of 2019. Talked to me about it and I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I remember the moment I was teaching a class in early February. I checked my watch. I got a text. It was an article from like medium.com why you and your family you and everyone you know will get COVID. I started to do the math in my head and I was like, the world's going to shut down and I'm going to be out of a job and this is the way it's going to work. It's going to be at least a year. Everything's going to change. And so it wasn't out of fear. I just logically knew I needed to prepare for something and needed to do something, but I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So like while everyone was kind of like dinking around the first couple of weeks, we got 2 weeks of vacation. I was just researching, figuring out what's next. And then from there, it was like, okay, I want to do this, but how do I do what I want to do? Which is how I got into DJing too. How do I do what I want to do? I need to learn this skill. And so then it was okay. And then from there, the ADHD hyper-focusing for months on end, just like learning. I had to learn some Photoshop stuff just to be able to create assets for the web stuff. So like I had to learn a lot of stuff to do that. And so at first it was a logical thing. Like I want to do this. So I need to learn this. And then it was like, oh, all right, well I can do this. This is fun. Yeah. Getting into all that stuff. And then then it got wild. We were putting like random live graphics and pop-ups. I had like downloaded movie clips. Have you seen I Love You, Man?
Yes.
Paul Rudd. And that guy,
I haven't seen it.
Okay, the funny guy, you know that scene where he's like, everything you got. You know that?
Yeah.
You know, he's helping him.
Yeah.
One of my instructors would always say, give it everything you got. And then one time I downloaded the clip and I put it into OBS. And when he said everything you got, I made the whole screen come over and I played it, popped up through the stream deck and just disappeared. And he's like, what was that? So it's just like, then you learn the tech and you're like, okay,
great.
So this is the way my brain works. Okay, I need to understand what this stuff can do. What are the abilities of this program or this technology? Okay, then I know what I can do with it and I can kind of jerry rig it to make it do what I want to do. So for me, it was just like, okay, I need to do this because I'm going to be out of a job. Everything's going to be different. And then from there, this stuff's kind of cool. Because that's, like I said, I was a nerd long before I ever went to the gym. Like I love technology. I love computers and stuff.
The level of work ethic, it's incredible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would even argue it's not a work ethic thing. It's just like, I find something I like and I want to do it.
Who would you look up to in this space of like, rigging things out, learning new things? Who's someone you follow on social media, somebody that you feel like is like, he's the GOAT?
Rigging things. I don't even know. I don't think I follow anybody that does
that variety of things.
I will recognize it. Like I recognize that part of you where you took this room and built, no one on camera can see it, but how you built it out, how you rigged everything up, how you have that. And, when we talked on Instagram, I was like, hey, do you use an ATEM? Like, how did you wire the things? How did you do that? So I recognize that, how you built that part of you that's like, no one told you to go find a room. Of course, there are podcast space. So there's a footprint for that or a blueprint for that. But the way you took this space, no one told you that. So I recognize that in people, but I've always just been hyper curious, and I don't really take. I've talked about this with people. I don't take pride in my curiosity because I've always been curious. I think curiosity helps me so much in life and helps people in life, but I would annoy the hell out of my parents asking them questions right before bed. Ask any girl I've ever dated, like 9, 10 o'clock, my brain just turns on and I'm like, questions. You know, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
And so that curiosity lends me to go down roads that I'd never imagined going down. So it's not like really inspired by anything. It's more just like whatever my brain has a proclivity for, like, that sounds fun. Let's learn about this. I think I'm just blessed to have been able to make DJing something I was doing for cycling classes and for fun turned into a small side gig, side hustle, and then videography, something I was doing, I guess I learned for work, but found it interesting. And then also is also a side hustle too. And then personal training, I love helping people and I love working out. So that turned into something. So everything I do, I at least interested in to some degree, like very interested in, I should say, to some degree.
And do you drop the fads? Like when you've left that thing, do you drop it completely, or do these skill sets that you pick up throughout life kind of linger in the background?
I think they linger, but I've realized my brain has like a certain amount of space in the hard drive, and I probably need to get off my phone more because I feel like my hard drive is full oftentimes. I have to like unlearn things to learn new things. That makes sense. But I've kind of settled on these 3 things. Like I'm DJing, I DJ once a month, and I do a Y2K and hip hop set at a local bar in Costa Mesa.
That's dope.
I do it just for fun. The money's not great, but it's just literally just to entertain. And I like hosting parties. I like helping people have a good time. And so I do that. I'm DJing at Time Nightclub on Friday night because their Time Machine product is like a throwback thing. And so I'm 40. I grew up in the 90s and the 2000s. So for me, it's like, oh, that's my music. I want to do it just for fun, you know, like. But I realized these 3 things I can make money on and make a living on. And so I try to stay doing them. At this point, I'm like, okay, I have enough skills. I need to like focus enough to do these. And so I DJ'd a 1-year-old birthday party, which is obviously for the 1-year-old. I DJ'd an 8th grade junior high graduation party.
Do you DJ weddings?
Yeah. Which is and weddings, which is hilarious. I get less of them now because I used to DJ all of my cycling classes at Equinox, and I was in front of people who were young and upper middle class, and so they would always see me. Hey, do you do events? My first one, I was like, somebody asked me, I was like, yeah, all the time for sure. and that was the moment you spoke to earlier of I'm gonna invest in everything. I spent all of my money on my first gig on buying a DJ deck. And I had to rent speakers. The next one, I spent all of my money on speakers and then I had to upgrade everything. But I'm like, all right, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And that's what you did. You did that with all your gear and all your video stuff. You're like, you can rent it or you can just dive in. If it's interesting, just do it.
Absolutely.
What are you DJing on a 1-year-old birthday party, man?
What the parents
Baby
want.
Shark?
What the parents want?
No. Yeah. I did play Bieber Baby. But
I've never heard that one.
But the baby wasn't really jamming out to any of it, to be fair. It was all for the parents. I started with house music, but hilariously they like house edited remixes of popular songs. I'm not a huge house person, but I'll play like remixes, Afro house, tech house remixes of popular songs so people know them, but higher energy. And then they were like, hey, can you play more hip hop? We love hip hop. And I was like, all right. I was like, do you want edited music or not edited music? They're like, not edited. I was like,
boy.
All right, family over. And I'm like, all right. As long as my parents aren't here, we're cool. Like,
wow. And you let it rip and they were cool about it?
I just do. You pay me. I do what you tell me to do.
Wow.
If you're not paying me, I don't listen to you. So people that come up and try to request stuff from me, if you're not paying me, like sign. Talk to the host, talk to the whatever. But yeah, I do what you want me to do.
That's the equivalent to like when we're photographing a wedding and we have like the mom kind of like telling us, can we get a picture here? Can we get a picture? I'm so sorry. And I'm like, don't apologize. Like, you tell me where to go and I'll take the photo. Yeah.
Yes, so absolutely. And there's a lot of times people that are participating in their creative vision when they're not being paid to do so. Like in weddings, you have cousins or family members or someone who's passionate about cameras and they have a Nikon that they bought 10 years ago. They're like, don't you think that's a good idea? And you're in the middle of trying to get the couple to cross this bridge to get to this spot. So yeah, I have mixed feelings about that, to be honest with you. Like I love the leadership side and I love also the taking in ideas from people. I do feel like there's certain aspects of your creative vision that like I have to lock it down. Like even the client
Mm.
You know, sometimes I feel like when I'm doing gig work for corporates or for small businesses, I feel this hidden struggle between doing what the client feels like is worth their money and makes them happy
Mhm.
versus what actually gets an outcome, versus what like will entice an audience to buy or be interested or purchase. Sometimes what I want to do is the thing that will spark interest and curiosity, but they're going to feel like that's not that big of a deal. Like it's just a 6-second video. Some of the most expensive commercials on the planet are like 8 seconds. And
Yep.
you look at these commercials that the really big corporations do, they're like 5-6 seconds. There's a reason for that. And they're very well produced. So yeah, I definitely feel that.
You spoke to the same thing personal trainers deal with, what the clients want to do versus where they want to go. Same stuff.
Yeah, I struggle with that with real estate videos because I want to make something what's trending now, quick edits, cool music, and I send that to them, and they're like, "Can you slow it down a bit? I kind of want to feel the room or see the room a little." I'm like, okay.
I mean, you got to say, hey, this is what I advise. This is what I think will work, but I'm also open to
Right.
hearing. In personal training, it's, hey, like, I know you really want to do a lot of ab work or you really want to do this. If your goals are this, let's do this. And then let's throw this in on the side.
Mhm.
Let's also do that, but let's do it later.
Yeah.
And like for you, like, I mean, I deal with the same thing you said about people bothering you during your work or coming up to you and talking. Like you just have to, like, you have to be good at drawing boundaries respectfully and kindly. And then people can either choose to accept those boundaries being given or not accept them and or take them bad. And
Yes.
I have a certain amount of patience. I'll say, hey, I'd love to play the request. You know, I'll listen to a request while I'm in the middle of a set. I'm not gonna miss a moment. Like you, when you're videoing during a wedding, like you might miss a moment if you're talking to somebody. Like you just have to not care if they get offended because you're not paid to make sure they're happy. You're paid to get the shots. But it's like you make a request. It's a request, not a demand. Okay, if I like it, I'll play it. If I don't, I'll say, all right, maybe. And then if they keep asking, sorry, I already said no. And then if they get mad, they get mad. They can go to therapy and talk about it. But like,
Does it get that far? Does it ever?
oh yeah, yeah.
I think with alcohol, that stuff comes
Oh,
out more.
yeah.
Yeah. I've been pretty lucky. I've had a couple instances where people they feel like it's their event, and I'm like, you're not the one paying me. If you're paying me, if you're the one, you gave me cash, you gave me your credit card, I will do whatever you say. If you want to put on Spotify, I had one. They wanted to listen to country. I'm like, I have no country on my laptop. All right, we'll just put Spotify on. And they for the last hour of the party, they just played country, and I just drank and talked.
Wow.
That's fun.
Yeah, I was like, okay, but like, you know, if you're coming up and you're demanding it, like you just maybe want to work on your narcissism a little bit. Like maybe this isn't about you, but
Love it.
that's, you know, most of the time it's totally fine. I love most DJs. I don't know if you guys ever see DJs say no requests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Just
like
straight up.
I like taking them because people will remind me of songs I've forgotten about.
Mm.
Oh hell yeah, I forgot about that. Let me download that or let me play it. But also that comes with then people being demanding and unreasonable and then unruly. But most of the time that's pretty cool.
Yeah, one of the
Absolutely.
trends that I've seen DJs put is like they'll have a QR code and like send request here, and I guess that way people don't go up to them and they can see some of the requests and they can choose there.
There are some really cool, not a topic for the podcast. There's some really cool apps you can have that isn't just like the QR code. It's a whole like website thing where people can like vote on stuff.
Wow,
They can
that's
even
cool.
there's some websites or apps that you can attach tips to. It's all really cool. There's some really cool stuff there that I've wanted to dive into, but I haven't really had the need or the time to. But
So, quick question, because I always have this this vision of me singing to a couple on their wedding day, right?
you sing?
I do karaoke, so
You dabble.
John Legend.
I do a lot of John Legend. So the thing is, I always pull up to these DJs and I'm like, can I karaoke a John Legend song? And the couples they're fine with that, but they never do it.
Well, I mean,
what's the backstory?
it's probably your fault
Thank you.
from the perspective of if you clear it in advance before the day of, and then you have them communicate to the DJ that they want you to do that. So he knows in advance. So he has the song.
So there's a technical challenge involved. It's not just
so remember, you're not streaming. I always have an iPad with Spotify connected, hardwired in to my mixer. If I can't download it, because you have to have it local file for the most part on your laptop when you're streaming. So when you're mixing, so you can either download it, whatever, or stream it from there. So you could do that, But also, like, if they think you're just some rando guy that's like, oh yeah, let me on, and they don't know that the bride and groom want that, then I probably would be like, I'd probably say the same thing to you. But if I didn't know you.
It's actually, it's actually pretty clear. Like, it's like they know, like they see us. I'm the videographer. We're together the whole time. It's just that I feel like they shy away from it. Like, it's not. It's not.
If
a
you want to make
rejection.
a fool of yourself, do it. I'm here. You go. As long as whoever hands me the money, you're in charge. This is not like too many people take their weddings or their private events or corporate events like it's their Coachella or whatever events. I don't go to festivals, but it's your festival. No, you're literally working. Like you said earlier, like weddings, I don't enjoy most weddings because you know it. You're there early, you're setting up 3-4 hours early, you're sweating, you have to go home, shower, you have to tear everything down at the end of the night. You're working 10-12 hours. It's not like going to Time nightclub and spinning for 2 hours and walking out with your laptop. Like, it's work. It's hard work.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I'm gonna figure that out, brother. I need to.
DJs is one of the other.
I would play it for you if it was clear for everybody. I would play it for sure.
Perfect. That's all I wanted to hear.
Yeah,
they're one of the other vendors that I try to befriend right at the beginning of the day.
DJs are dope, and they have a huge impact on the overall vibe of the wedding.
Thank you for saying that. I tell people, even if they don't want to hire me, I'm like, look, you're spending what's the average wedding cost? 20 to 40 grand.
Mm-hmm.
DJs run for some people cheaper, maybe 1,500 to 3,500.
Mm-hmm.
It's roughly maybe 10% of your budget, maybe 5, maybe 15. But it can make or break
without
people's
a doubt.
experience. Like, don't skimp on that.
Yes. And I've seen it happen so many times where the DJ, through his emotional intelligence and his technical abilities, would prevent like a social altercation from happening by cutting, like if it's like a speech, right? And it's a very awkward speech and the person's too drunk, he'll know exactly when to cut the mic and play a song and it's like an illusion. He'll make everyone feel like she ended and she'll just realize that he cut her off and he will emotionally manage the situation without making anyone feel awkward. And I find that to be such a powerful position to play in a wedding, because essentially if someone's going to yell, you can't control that, but the majority of people, the communication is through the microphone. That's how you talk to the most people in the wedding. And you having control over that, cutting things, moving them around, and like, okay, folks, that's it. We're going to take a little break. We're going on to the next thing. And just knowing when to get people's emotions ready for the next step to smoothen out a potential hiccup of the day is very important, just for the sake of prevention, like just to prevent things from happening. And I've seen DJs do that regularly. Like a lot of, like sometimes in quinces, like some of the older people get a little too drunk and someone will have a mic and they're doing a speech and I can tell, I don't speak Spanish, but I can tell from people's reactions that this is not a fun thing to listen to.
Yep.
And the DJ will just do a 1-2 and have everybody ready to dance or go eat or something. And it's really dope.
I have a buddy that one of my closest friends is my MC. He's great on a mic. I don't like being on the mic. I'd rather be DJ and tech support if something breaks. And I have him run around. He's great. I can't remember names at all. Like if you tell me something in one ear out of the other, I can't retain it. Doesn't matter. I could be attracted to the person. Doesn't matter. It's just going to one ear out the other. He remembers every name.
Wow.
He's so good. He's a ham on the mic. And any situation that's happened like that, he'll take the mic back or he'll figure it out. He handles those situations for me. I've never had one of those situations. Like, thank you. Never once have I had like a drunk person go on too long. So
it gets pretty awkward, man. Filming toasts, like it's a hit or miss sometimes.
Especially the dads, man. Bride dads, ooh, they can.
That's the worst.
They can go on for a long time if nobody stops them.
Yeah, in the most mild form, it's just the length of the speech. Yeah. It's like, okay, this is getting like everyone's tuning out, and toasts are a very emotional moment. Like especially as videographers, we're capturing the person who's speaking, we're capturing reactions, and once that dies down, once that build up for the toast, and then you get like a weird climax of a very lengthy conversation with no emotions, it's hard to get people tuned back in. They start to talk to themselves, and you're a DJ, like you see what happens, but.
I'm assuming I haven't had this happen, and you guys don't have to navigate it really like the DJ does. But like also, like if the father of the bride is going on too long for the crowd, but the bride is into it, like I just let it go. Like if you're there for the bride and for them, if the bride is like giving you the look, like let's cut this out. But like if everyone starts to people start to tune out, but like it needs to be said for them, like I don't know, I'd let it go.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's usually the case that like even the daughter's like, everyone is just not.
Oh,
not
it doesn't bother me at all, man. I'm just pushing record and just waiting until he's done. And if it goes over the time, like, hey, do you want me to stay a little longer? You're just gonna have to pay for it, you know? So it's chill with me. I don't have any, like, keep going, Dad. I don't care.
Run it.
Yeah, run it.
No,
exactly.
I really value good toasts, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If anything, I do want to create, like, because I filmed so many toasts, I do want to create a kind of like a handbook, like a YouTube video you can watch, like 5 do's and 5 don'ts for toasts.
Oh, it's great.
I do think there is some popular videos out there because the majority of the bride's fathers always do the thing of like, the best piece of advice I can give you in a relationship is, yes, honey.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard that before?
Oh,
Where
yeah.
all you got to say is, yes, honey, whether you're right or you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, honey. And they repeat that same
Yeah.
shtick. So I feel like they're getting their knowledge from somewhere. I want to update that information.
So maybe you make specific videos for the mother of the bride, for the father of the bride.
Get in there. Yeah.
Yeah. And you say, there's not even do's and don'ts. Like, hey, this is the master class.
Yes. A toast masterclass.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then different episodes for like, the bride, the bride's
best
sister.
friend,
Yeah.
Best friend, don't reveal information
that
about
stuff.
prior conquests while at the
Please.
wedding.
Yeah, please don't. One of my favorite ones, and we're going into this whole different thing, but is when like they are saying super nice things and then they're like, well, those are things about me, and you know what I mean? And then they go on to about the groom and all that stuff. Because it sounds like they're talking about the groom.
them. But
Yeah,
they're,
but they're talking about something other themselves.
Yeah,
Those
they,
are fun.
They throw that little spin. I love those things.
Yeah.
And then there's always the having 6 papers and throwing 5 of them
Oh,
and saying like, oh, I was going to have a very lengthy speech, but you know what?
Yeah.
I'm just going to cut all this out. Like, what's in those papers? But yeah.
Declaration of Independence.
Exactly right.